my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. We have a lot of things to talk about today, and I have a lot of things to say. We're going to get all of the kind of miscellaneous stuff done first, and then I want to talk about a quilt drive, disaster relief help, and just that kind of a thing. We'll do that in the second part. So the first is our Jolly Bar sampler. We have been using the brand new book from the Fat Quarter Shop on their Jolly Bars, which are their exclusive pre-cut size of 5 by 10 inch rectangles from a fabric line. And we did this awesome sampler together. Yesterday they put out the layout. Now this has not been a mystery, so you've always seen what it looks like. They put out the layout so that you can grab the pattern and then lay your blocks out. And sew them up, sew the whole thing up. And I talked last week about like options if you don't want to do that whole border. You could do no border, you could just put on a fabric border. You could do maybe a few of those candies on each corner, you know, like just make a couple on each corner, which would be, I think, super cute. Okay, so I did a couple little clips while I was kind of putting that together. So let's take a look. Here we go, the layout. So I'm doing this on one of my days here that I'm not doing regular filming. So I am in messy hair and no makeup, but we're sewing. We're gonna do this right side, and the right side, as you can see, all of these will be just sewn together. There's no sashing. And then I will just do whatever, you know, got sashings between things, and I've got then the verticals, but even like up here, you've got a little bit. So anyway, I will just sew a couple things and then give you a little update. Just to remind you that this tree has blunt tips, so that's the way that the block is designed, which is kind of fun. I love it. And while I'm sewing this, I am getting more of these units, these Christmas block units done. Oh, love it. Love it, love it. Getting more. Look, see, here's another one. Getting these sections. I actually have done now all of them that are cut, and so I have to cut a bunch more. But I'll get this left side done now. Now the center portion is done. So I have the inner border and all of the outer border are already sewn, like I showed you the other day last week. So I just need to put that guy around and then sew the borders on. It's really straightforward. So if you've been working on the blocks, or if you're not really quite done with all the blocks yet, but you can see where it's going. There is another part. They did do a pieced backing, but I am not doing that. Fat Quarter Shop sent me this to use as backing from the fabric line Starberries, and I am just going to use that. I'm not doing any more. So my part of this will be done. Next week you'll be able to get the backing down low, which could be its own quilt. It's a big block and, you know, some patchwork. You can see that too over at the project page. Well, let me just put a picture up. This is what the backing is. So if you want to do a pieced backing, maybe you have extra fabric still and you would like to, you know, use it in there, that'll be coming. And my option for binding is the little sheep. There they are. Now, Monday's video, I am discussing binding and my inability to remember things about binding and why is that happening and how can I fix it. But I have too many other things today, so we will talk about that on Monday. So keep that in mind. Hopefully I remember. No, I made a note. Okay. I want to tell you that the Make-A-Wish, my quilt that was raffled for Make-A-Wish, the lady who won it, her name is Carla, and she wrote and sent me a really sweet little note. She says she's very excited to actually have watched me build that quilt, and then now she will be owning it. And so I thought that was really great. She said watching the videos kind of helped her get through some stuff at one point, and so I really am very humbled whenever you tell me those kind of things. To think that, you know, I might have been a little bit of a comfort with my crazy quilt chatter to some of you. So that is who is getting, Carla is getting that. Another really big thing and exciting thing is the Virginia Quilt Museum is doing a raffle. There's 2 raffle segments. This is the first one, and then I don't know if how much there's a break, and then they'll be running the second segment of things. And so I'm going to put a picture up here. What they're doing is they have a group of items. There are quilts, and I have donated 2 quilts. There is my Barn Star, which is that big mega quilt. I donated that for this raffle, so you can bid and possibly win my quilt. Also, there is the this Ocean Waves that I did quite a long time ago. It's very traditional, sort of cozy, warm colors, but they're in Americana theme. It is one of my all-time favorite quilts, but it is not kind of the, quilts have to go to new homes for me. So I'm not sad to let it go, even though I really love the quilt. Somebody else will get it and enjoy it. But they have other things. There's smaller quilts. There are kits. Benartex is sponsoring this, and so they've donated some kits that you could get. There is a stay at a hotel. I think that's pretty cool. I might have to bid on that. Get a raffle ticket. Well, not bid, the raffle ticket. So buy a raffle ticket for that. What else was there? Let's see. Oh, there's Oliso mini irons. So one of their mini irons in the pistachio color. So there's all kinds of cool stuff. It's a variety, which I think is very exciting, because there are people like in the local communities around the Virginia Quilt Museum that do participate in the raffles, and so it's kind of nice to have a few things that are a little bit different, like the hotel stay, and then there's also like a behind the scenes tour of the museum. You can get that. Okay, so what you're going to do is use my link in the description box here. It's also the pinned post here, and it will be at my article today. I have a bonus article today at my website for this video, and the link is there so that you can go out and get raffle tickets to support the Virginia Quilt Museum. And maybe for the price of that, $10 raffle ticket, you might win one of my quilts. And then there'll be a second segment of this where there's 2 other quilts that I donated for that one. I want to remind you to sign up for the Benartex virtual fabric tour, where we're doing, like the designers are all sharing different fabrics that are coming up. You have to sign up. It's a Zoom session where we will have usually a video and then a little chat. There'll be 4 or 5 designers in each segment, and so you have to sign up for each one that you want to go to. And it's a lot of fun, and the Benartex usually gives away some fabric to the people who are there during the live presentation. Mine is October 15th in the afternoon Eastern time. So it starts like at 3:45 Eastern time. So if you are available, maybe get off work early to go to the virtual one, go to the virtual show. So you got to go to a meeting for 45 minutes. Shh, don't tell your boss, I didn't say that. If you pre-ordered the spooky boxes, they have shipped, and many of you are getting them, but don't spoil it yet. Don't open them or show them anywhere online, because that's not fair to those who haven't seen it yet. If you try to put it in my group, we just don't approve the post. I have peaked, and it looks like a project. The first project is so cute, the fabric's so cute, and it looks like something I could do quickly. I'm not sure, but it kind of looks like that. And there's super cute extra things that always come along with the project. So the spooky box, and look at the purple box. I don't know, I'm gonna have to get them to do pink and orange for Halloween too. Pink, purple, and orange with a little splash of black. Anyway, you can order the box now. So they're already, orders for ones that they had that people didn't order in advance. They got extras, so you can do that. And I got a little goodie in the mail from our friend Shirley in Canada. So look at this. Look at that pretty card. The hummingbird. Do you love hummingbirds, all of you? I bet Shirley does. And she sent me a sweet little note, and then some fun fabrics. Some watermelon and cupcakes. Look how cute that is. And beautiful sunflower fabric. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you for thinking of me. Mwah. All right, I'm going to switch gears. Give me a sec. So what we're going to do is have a little chat about quilt donations, quilt fundraising for disasters, just sort of this whole thing that happens, unfortunately, much more often than we we hope it would, whether they're natural disasters, whether there's some other kind of disaster that causes grief, and we all want to help people. So I want to give you just step back, because the other day I talked about the fundraising, and so I want to give you just a little bit more about me, and a little bit more, I want to give you an update on my brother. My brother lives in Asheville, North Carolina. And as you all know, Asheville has kind of been major in the news because the disaster was just of epic and horrific proportions for where they are up in the mountains. The flooding came down from the mountains. It had to go somewhere. It went into the basin, which is the city of Asheville. And it was epic flooding. Streets and highways washed away, electric out, water plants severely damaged where there's no running water in most of that area. And then people up in the mountains who can't get down, whether they're right in the Asheville mountains or like in towns just around. And then of course there's other towns, other places, but as I said the other day, I'm focusing on Asheville because that's where my family lives. So I actually talked to my brother today, the day that I'm filming this. He has had electric for a few days now, and it's a little bit more stable. The internet's a bit more stable now. He says even, you can have a phone call. He says, if I just sit in one spot and don't move around, I don't lose the connection. But they have electric, but they don't have water because, if you've seen, the power plants were severely damaged. One power plant is on, but it only services 20% of the people, and they're south of him. And so they don't have running water. But I want to tell you what the situation is for him personally. He's on the ground, he's talking to people, he's talking to the disaster relief people, he's talking to the people who are helping, the organizations that are coming in, who are there, who are bringing the money to help the community. He's out in that community helping and talking with them all the time. So he says one nice thing is that they are kind of a stable point with water. There is enough water being brought in by the emergency relief groups. There's drinking water and portable water for the toilets and for rinsing yourself from a shower and that kind of thing. So he says it's free. It's totally free. He says he just goes out and gets water every day, however they need to do it. So I thought I would just share that because it's something that I think a lot of us cannot comprehend, where the water won't be working for weeks and weeks and weeks. You don't have no running water. You can't flush a toilet. So yeah. But it's really awesome that it's available and it's all around. He says there's actually there's actually free food that's being cooked, like the World Kitchen and just many other organizations have free food if you need free food. And he luckily doesn't need that, he said, but it's there for people. And so and people are helping people. As I've said before, Asheville is kind of that community that has always been like that. That's why Beloved Asheville is a group that I recommended that you do your monetary fundraising with, because they're on the ground for many years in that community and know the people. So that's kind of where my family is, that is in the disaster area. One of the things that a lot of people want to do, because we are quilt makers, is that we want to give a quilt, because we know the power of giving a handmade item to somebody, how it can make them feel loved, and we want to make them feel loved. Now I want to give you a little backstory on me. I think I mentioned it just briefly, but I have always worked in the sort of charity area of quilting. My very first guild I ever belonged to, the very first thing I did when I got there was I joined the charity group who made quilts. We primarily made them to give to organizations as fundraisers, so that we would make a pretty nice quilt and then they could use it to raffle or auction for funds. And that is how it works, how I got involved initially. But then since then, I've been involved mostly with online communities doing fundraising, where my job mostly is to tell all of you. I've always been the person who would go out and spread the word that this organization is doing this and this is how you can help. And in that realm, I hear about the whole process of how it works, which is quite quite a thing. It can become a full-time job for the people running a quilt auction. As you saw a few years back, I got to go to Lutheran World Relief via our friend Carla, who has worked with them. She got me a behind-the-scenes tour, and my friend Kathy, who's one of our ambassadors, she and I met Carla there with some of the other ladies that she works with, and we got to have a behind-the-scenes tour of that facility that takes in quilts. So there's like lots of quilt donation things that go on across the country. It is out there for just general or also for disaster. Several people, now I'm going to, so my background, so my background is I've seen these things, I participated in them, I kind of know, I know all the scope and the depth and the involvement and the detail that has to go into receiving hundreds of quilts and then checking them, packaging them, and dispersing back out hundreds and hundreds of quilts. So what's interesting is just today that I'm filming this, I had several people point me to YouTuber Mary B. And Mary B has had a YouTube channel for, it looked like, I think about a year now. And she is a quilt maker, and she's been doing a lot of tutorial things. But she has a video out there about donating a quilt. And I went and watched it. It is awesome. Every single one of you that wants to donate a quilt should go now, after you finish watching my video. Go watch Mary B's video and subscribe to her channel. What she's doing is that she herself has been involved in Project Linus, and Project Linus is, I think, primarily children's quilts for donating, and she's been involved in a fairly high level with organizing things through them. And then she is doing this video with her husband, who is a emergency room physician, and he has been involved in disaster relief in the medical area there to help in many ways, as a physician. So what they did is they walked through the process of a disaster, the steps of what happens to help people in a disaster. And they give some really fabulous analogies and of how it works. Particularly, I love when she's talking about how he's trying to operate on somebody, and then she'd be trying to come in and give them a really sweet quilt. It was not the appropriate time, right? And so they give an example, and quite a few examples. So it really is going to hit home with you that there is an appropriate time for the quilts to happen, and it's not right away. In the beginning, they can't handle it. They're trying to survive. They're trying to eat. They can't handle trying to process fabric yet. So she also has an enormously good point, which I am going to reiterate. Thank you, Mary B. That do not be offended if things cannot be accepted the day that you want to send it. Please wait until organizations are ready to accept things, because then they can handle it efficiently and effectively, and your pieces get where they need to go. Now, you will listen to Mary and you hear her talk about blankets. She calls, because in the Project Linus world, they do crocheted afghans, they do fleece blankets that are tied and stuff, and they do quilts. So in the Project Linus world, they reference everything as a blanket, so that's why she calls it that. She does say it eventually, she does explain eventually why she does that, but just up front, I noticed it, and you all will notice it too, because we primarily are just quilters. So but that's what's going on there. So go watch Mary B. All right. So I decided, and I would try to find a few places where you could send a quilt that they are now ready to take them. But they are not going to take them forever. This is going to be a pretty short term for most people, because it is like a full-time job. And so it's kind of like you do bring in what we can in this amount of time, and then they will disperse them out to the people who need them. So I have a few, but and so I'm going to tell you those. But first, let me just tell you about two people that I'd like you to think about and keep in your prayers, and possibly go buy a digital pattern from these two people, because they are right in the midst of it. First of all is Brittany and Peter, who own Lo and Behold. They are just east of Asheville Black Mountain, I think it's called, Black Mountain. Yeah, Black Mountain, North Carolina. They have a home up in the mountains where no electric, no water, no roads at one point. They did manage to get down off the mountain, down into town the other day, and the town has flooding, electric out. I'm not sure about their water situation. Their studio space, they have a studio space there where I suppose she sells fabric and has classes and things. And that had flooding, but it was still looked like it wasn't like destroyed, so they were working to clean that up. And I think it would be awesome if you would go out, and I got a link down below and at my website and everything, to go and buy a digital pattern from Brittany, just to support her and her husband while they try to get everything going again, because they have a great loss of income from this. So it would be great to do that. The other one is my friend Bonnie Hunter. Many of you know Bonnie Hunter. She's a well-known longtime quilt maker, doing lots of travel. She has a retreat center. This is all down in Southern Virginia. She's about as far away from me as you can get in Virginia, south. And her town also had some disaster effects, and they were, I'm not sure she has electric back even yet, but they were out of electric. So again, if I'm going to link to Bonnie's shopping page, if you would just go and buy a digital pattern or two, that would be just amazing to support her. All right, quilts. Let me just give you the what is it, the 411? Let me give you the info on that. First up, Keepsake Quilting Catalog online store, which has been around forever. They have their warehouse in North Carolina. And so they are until October 31st. It has a deadline, October 31st. You can send a quilt to them. They have a warehouse space. They have a tractor trailer. And they will be loading that up with your quilt donations and sending them out. I have all the information in the description box, but there is a spot. But you only have until the end of the month of October 2024 to do that. Then they go back to their, then their donation drive is done. And everybody's donation drives only last a certain amount of time. They cannot be endless. There will be another disaster somewhere you can send things to. Watch Mary B. At the very end, she tells you how to sort of think about that. The second is Brittany and Peter at Lo and Behold. She is going to accept quilts into her, you can send them to her studio there in town, and she will be dispersing them and giving them to her local community. Now you might want to write and be sure before you send it, how, does she have enough yet? How's it going? Whatever. But you can go to her website and email from there and check. But she did put out a public call for pieces that she can give out to her local community. Thank you for your immense generosity. Quilters are incredible. I hope you will go do a raffle at the Virginia Quilt Museum, because you might win one of my quilts. Don't forget, got the layout here. And if you have a quilt that you want to send, first watch Mary B's video. First, then do your donation. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.